You know, you are asking about very tricky things here, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys weren't what I expected.
In a good way or bad
No,
way
in a
or a
good way,
neutral
because
way?
no, I'm guessing that the theme of your podcasts or your joint podcast or your project or whatever this is that you're doing is maybe how to get people to talk to each other, and how do we find some common ground, and how do we fix this intolerable political situation that we find ourselves in this country.
That's my motivation.
Well,
Generally,
these
in a
things.
nutshell, you pretty much nailed it for me.
Okay,
that's my
well, I don't know
motivation.
what yours
Yeah,
is. Okay,
that's definitely one of
I
the
mean, it took me
benefits.
10 minutes to get to
Yeah.
this point.
I mean, notice how we didn't even have to explain it.
Yeah.
This is the wobbliest table in the park.
We did. We picked
It's-
it.
The more we
to
sit,
throw
the
everybody
less
off.
wobbly it gets.
Yeah, well, it depends, because if you sit on this side, then it's wobbly. Well, it goes on and on the table.
So Al, A-L?
AL, yes.
Perfect. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah. Again, I'm Nathan. That's David.
Yeah.
So, can you think of a statement that you're convinced is true that you
I
wouldn't
think I
mind?
stated already that that I have strong beliefs, but I don't have any that are absolute.
Okay.
Are there any that you find yourself in the minority about?
Well,
thinking
certainly about religion.
You do. You find yourself in the minority about
Absolutely.
that. Cool. What do you mind sharing?
Well, how do I find myself in the minority? Well, if you're referring to this country, for example,
Right.
I'm in the minority because I'm not Christian.
Right.
I'm also in a minority because I'm not Catholic, because I'm not Protestant, I'm not Dutch Reformed, I'm not Baptist. I mean, you can go on and on. So, yeah, so I'm on at least the outside of what most people profess to be their state of existence in this country.
Okay.
Is there, and I'll use the word label, but is there something that you would say you are?
Well, there are certain tenets of religion that move across many religions and philosophies that I do believe in. Now, strongly and absolutely, well, again, I don't know that I'm not a simulation, so I can't prove that. But
Yeah.
I don't think I am, by the way. I'm not
Sure.
on that level. But I can't absolutely state that, no, I'm not. So, yeah, there are things. Treating your neighbor as you would like to be treated yourself is common to Christianity, to the Muslim religion. It's certainly part of Buddhist philosophy. You can go on and on. It appears in almost every, what I'm a little hesitant to call religious context. That now, whether the actual acts of the adherents to those things follow that philosophy is another question. But in terms of a philosophy or thing I believe in strongly, yes, I believe in that.
You'd say that we could call it the golden rule if you'd like.
Yes, in
the
fact,
golden
that's
rule,
the way most people would describe it.
the golden rule is not unique to one religion.
Yes. And so, if you're a believer in majority rule, I guess you could say, well, if that's a common thread, then maybe there's a stronger likelihood that there's truth to it. But honestly, I don't view it that way. I think my truth comes from a very conceited area that's what feels right to me, and so therefore I'm going to think it's right. But I recognize the weakness of using that as a justification. Okay?
Feelings.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have feelings and they're not very nice.
Or if it makes sense to you. Like, if it makes sense to you, is that a good reason to think that it's accurate?
Well,
He seems very aware.
not a
of
good
epistemology.
reason.
Yeah.
It is a reason, but not only does it, maybe there's a further qualification, not only does it have to feel right to you, but there has to be some universality to it that's non-harmful. Does that make any sense? I mean, I could say I believe strongly because all religions love killing and preach it all the time that we should kill for our religion. Well, I'm not good with that. I don't know whether you are, but kill for Christianity?
Yeah, that
Hell
sounds like
no.
the opposite of the golden
Well,
rule.
exactly. And so that's why I choose it as as an example about how maybe I come about my beliefs. I don't have a lock on anything. There's no Al-ism.
Sure.
That is a philosophy that I can refer
Generally,
to.
when we get deeper into like figuring out what a person's taking a stake on claiming, we ask like a range question, like how much do you view your own mind and having acquired the objective truth of something? So we'll eventually we would sometimes, depending, it depends. We have to pick a claim, but
Mhm.
we'll generally ask like 0 to 100. How confident are you about this thing in particular? But before we get there, is there a thing that you could pinpoint that you, and we could go religion if you want. It sounds like that's the direction
Well,
we've been going.
I'd rather not go down the religious aspect because that
Okay.
immediately puts you in confrontation with 85% of the world. Okay,
Right. No matter
especially
which one you pick, right?
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So like going down that road is
Right.
a promise of conflict, and so no, not that I've been adverse to conflict my entire life, farther from the truth. And maybe this is something worth mentioning, that the truths that you have when you're 10 are not the truths that you believe in. And I'm not talking absolute here.
You
I'm
mean
just
your
talking,
beliefs evolve
oh,
over
yeah,
time, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. I don't dispute
Well,
that.
unless your mind is totally closed, don't they have to?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Would you say that the golden rule is the best rule?
Uh, it's a good one. I don't know whether I'm,
Can you think of a better one?
well, a better one.
Using your criteria for better.
Yeah. If we choose that,
I'm
one,
gonna
I'm
have I'm gonna have a little trouble thinking of something else because I believe it's a very general rule, and as I said, there's a lot of justification for it across culture and across religion, and if put into practice, we don't harm one another, or at least we don't intentionally harm one another.
Can you think of
Until you get into thinking like this. Now, there is, if you do unto your neighbors, you would do unto yourself. If you were a Christian, then it would be better to kill them into being a Christian than it would be to convince them to become a Christian. So, I mean, all of these things have their philosophical hazard in my mind.
Can you think of a downside to the golden rule?
Well, might be more difficult to get rich if you wanted to be rich. If you were an absolute follower of the golden rule and extended it to every walk of your life.
So we could say the golden rule impedes wealth?
At least in the context that if you're really trying to apply the golden rule and trying to live that way, it would mean if I see a starving person, then I need to immediately share with him. If I see a homeless person, as long as I have money or means, then presumably I have an obligation. And I'm not telling you that I exercise that obligation all the time because I don't. So this is not a holier than thou philosophy.
Sure, yeah.
But to the extent that it's practical, that I can be protective of my family, my friends, and my relatives, I do try to do things that improve the lot of people overall. Are you going to make me give examples of that, or no? Okay.
You're free to if you.
Well, no, I don't think it's necessary, but you may question whether I'm full of BS or whether there's any actuality to what I'm saying.
Well, I get the sense that, you try to follow the golden rule whenever you're able to, and are there any other factors that go into whether you follow it or not?
Well, personal safety,
Safety.
yeah, is an issue. And then there has to be a willingness for acceptance, too. I'm not going to force anything. See, the golden rule might tell me that all these people I see wandering around here that are obviously heathens or non-Christians should have forced conversions as determined by me. And since I know everything, and I talk directly to God, it's my right to do so, isn't it? You know, you are asking about very tricky things here, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys weren't what I expected.
In a good way or bad
No,
way,
in a good
or
way,
neutral
because
way?
now I'm guessing that the theme of your podcasts or your joint podcast or your project or whatever this is that you're doing is maybe how to get people to talk to each other, and how do we find some common ground, and how do we fix this intolerable political situation that we find ourselves in this country.
That's my motivation.
Well,
Yeah. Generally,
these
in a
things,
nutshell, you pretty much nailed it for me.
okay.
That's my
Well, I don't know
motivation.
what yours
Yeah,
is. Okay.
that's definitely one of
I
the
mean, it took me
benefits.
10 minutes to get to
Yeah.
this point.
I mean, notice how we
What
didn't
was
even have
going
to explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not all of it, but it's definitely a
part of
huge
it.
thing that gets me going to the park for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you see a lot of people. Yeah, I listen to some podcasts, and most of them are a little too strident for me, but there are people that I do like, and many of the best ones have even given up this idea that we can talk to each other at all.
Yeah.
And I'm leery. I mean, you can tell that I'm leery. It's like, all right, you're in the park and you're going to talk to me, and what goes through my mind is, all right, what religion are you going to try to convert me to? How much money are you going to try to lift out of my wallet?
Right.
You know, I could go on with, because I spend a lot of time here in the park. And by the way, I talk to all the homeless people or anybody that will talk to me, the crazy ones, the drunk ones, and
That's one of our challenges, is that, you know, most people wouldn't expect this kind of conversation. And so we're kind of trying to figure out ways to, you know, help people understand that we're not trying to sell anything. We're not, you know.
yeah.
So yeah, that is a challenge. But I was going to ask, you seem to be aware of a problem that we have with society about not being able to talk to each other. What do you think the best solution is for that?
I don't know. I can tell you some things that I think might help, but I don't know that one, education. And by education, I don't mean the teaching of dogmatic principles in grade school. I think that teaching science and being emphatic about things that can be proven at least by a certain technique and by certain means, whether it be mathematics or even in geometry, you could say that all things are provable by logic and demonstration. Maybe provable by demonstration, because if you're allowed to say anything, and anybody's allowed to believe anything that you say, then how can we have a common ground on which to communicate? If your truth and sense of reality is so different from mine, how do we even get together?
That's what the survey is all about. We have like a list of different epistemologies, like different ways to view what truth is and how belief works.
Mm-hmm.
And we have like a very wide range of responses to it.
I can only imagine.
And and the reason why I am so amazed with it and fell in love with it and using it a lot is because how are we supposed to agree on what is true if we can't agree on what the truth is, like what the truth means to begin with? And so there is some disagreement about what it even means to believe in a thing that's true.
Well, let's say you were interviewing people
Uh-huh.
and or just talking with them,
Mm-hmm.
and you find yourself in severe opposition in terms of trying to get an idea.
When would that ever happen?
Yeah, or well, you can't think that way because God wouldn't, whatever.
Right.
And so that's going to come up like the second guy you talk to. That's going to
Yeah.
happen. Okay.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Well, maybe people are suspicious about talking with you at all.
Yeah.
The only reason why I did talk is guys didn't look too far off the edge to me.
You're the first person I said I'm not selling you anything. I promise. That's what did it. I'm gonna try that again next time.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just that.
It wasn't that. It was part of it, maybe. But.
So maybe one way that it could be done is that you could say to the person in opposition that once they reveal one of these dogmatic type beliefs, that you could ask, could we set aside the beliefs in whatever dogmatism or dogma was expressed and say simultaneously that I will try to do with mine, and let's have a conversation about things that we can show to be true objectively or through experience without the aid of supernatural powers.
Yeah.
Maybe that could help you get started. I don't know.
So if you were to encounter somebody who was using a justification that could lead somebody to something supernatural, what do you do with that?
Well, see, that's where the problem comes in, because can a person who believes in the supernatural, upon request, actually put it aside for the sake of a logical conversation?
That can be really hard for people.
It can be very hard. It can be very hard for me to put aside my truths to even have a conversation casually like this. I can take an example. I have a family member, a very close one, that he isn't religious, but his dogma happens on Fox News.
Yeah.
And don't mean to make this political, but just by way
No,
of example.
please make it political.
All right. Well, if you only believe what you see on Fox News and you don't allow for the chance that, yes, there might be a truth in there, but sometimes you have to tease it out, or that it is in fact entertainment and not news. If that's the groundwork for your axioms in geometry,
Right.
then it's a faulty one, and
Do you
it's
have
clearly a
conversations
faulty
with him
one.
a lot? With this person? As you
He's
say,
He's a family
a
member.
family member, right? So you do
Not as much
engage
as I
in
would,
politics? Less
not
so?
as little as I would like to.
And not as little as you'd like to see. You'd like less.
Yeah. I mean,
You'd like less, maybe.
You could try to talk to him.
Do you want less because it's unpleasant?
It's
That was
unpleasant.
a wild guess.
It's not only is it unpleasant, but it almost always leads to some kind of argument, and it'll
Right.
involve 1,000 things.
Okay. We do
How
interviews.
about not interrupting? Can I ask what you're doing here?
Yeah, we conduct interviews with people in public places.
Oh, okay.
Are you interested in getting interviewed?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, maybe like in 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes
Yeah.
or something, we'll wrap this up and then.
I'll try not to dominate it too long.
In the meantime, what we'd like to have you do is think of something that you're convinced is true that you wouldn't mind having us ask questions about.
Sure.
So maybe in the meantime, you can think of something that.
I was just doing that for like the last 90 minutes.
I was hoping you were going to come by because you're so well dressed. I was like, damn it. He's like, that'll be good on camera. Oh, sharp, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just sit there.
Suit
Sounds
jacket.
good.
All right, sweet. I'll fog you down.
Yeah, trying to get this particular individual, and the reason why I'm not saying who or which relative is on the off chance that this does get somewhere. I don't need to further energize whatever antagonism might be there.
If I could distill a claim and force it upon you, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to just try it out.
Well, you could try, sure.
Yeah, why not? Here's the claim. I don't talk to this family member of mine nearly little enough.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Well, my desire would be to talk to him more and not have these.
Oh, that is a desire.
The angst
Okay,
that
so
goes
it was a
along
jest,
with it.
maybe?
So, well, it goes both ways.
Okay.
In the midst of it, it's like, no, I don't want to have this conversation at all. I want to flee and never talk to you again. But rationally, when I'm away from the stimulus, no, it's quite different. It's like, I
Right.
think the same thing you guys are thinking now.
Right.
How do I get through?
Mm.
And I don't have to agree with him,
Mm.
but he thinks that I have to agree with him.
Right. Yeah.
And therein lies the problem.
In
It's
order
because
to what?
in order for there to be peace,
To be
ver-
peace in the
verbally.
relationship, or
Yeah.
the friendship, or whatever.
But see, the thing, he's in this particular case, he's so wound up in.
If you were to ask him, if we continue to disagree on this thing, can we still be friends? What would he say?
Well, he'd say yes.
He'd say yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, then, is that peace?
It's a truce.
It's a truce. For now, maybe.
Yeah.
Until it comes up again.
I don't think it's a peace in the strictest sense of the word.
Is there something that you could...
We'll call it détente, if you like fancy
a détente?
words. Yeah, well, since you like
Big word.
epistemology, I mean, well, you like big words, so I'm giving you a good one for that.
I'm merely nitpicking here because there's so little, there's so little
nitpick
to
away.
challenge you with because our thinking is so similarly
Yeah,
aligned.
I'm sorry I wasn't a
I'm
better
looking
subject.
for I'm looking for the rub here just a little, but so
well,
I'll try.
But now that I know what you're about, do you really think you're going to find it?
I'll find out.
Okay.
What?
You're going to have to get a little more obnoxious.
You might
than
get a
you've
great
been,
answer
though.
to this.
Oh,
I'll
you
try.
don't know.
Well, we never get too obnoxious.
No,
we just
I'm just
we
kidding.
just get a little. We go deeper. So
Yeah.
that is obnoxious. But
no. Well, see, to me, it's not. That's the
Right.
thing to do when you get into trouble.
what would be the thing? What would need to change? What would you need to see in order to be more confident in engaging with this person politically?
What would I have to say from him or from
Your
elsewhere?
your entire imagination here can answer this one.
How could I do it better? Is that what you're asking me? In terms of engaging
What would
with
make you
them?
think that it would work out better?
If I kill him.
No,
No, well, that's a joke,
Yeah, right.
obviously.
Obviously.
It's a good question because
You're gonna have to bleep that for YouTube.
Yeah, we'll have to switch
I've thought about
unalive
this
it.
Unalive them. Yeah,
over the
Jesus.
years. Once I get away from being mad and disturbed by what he said,
Yeah.
then I think about, well, how could I have done that better, or how could I have looked at this differently, or how
Right.
could we have at least gotten to someplace? But if you insist that things that you personally have never seen
Mm.
are true, and that MS-13 is lurking beneath your bed, and I know, I've looked under there, and there's no MS-13 under there.
Right.
So-
That knuckle tat controversy is.
But it's
It
only
was
use
like
that-
a dream. It's like it's so gone now. It's in the back of our minds.
well, I only used that
Those
as an
last
example
seconds.
because that's something that came up. That he flew off into a fit of rage because I wouldn't acknowledge that MS-13 was a big factor in my life. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but
Right.
Yeah.
how often do I see it? And how often has it been raised with me other than by some person on Fox News or the president himself? I'm sorry, I don't mean to bring, but you see, that's exactly what sends me over the edge.
Yeah.
Is there an MS-13? I acknowledge that there is. And do they do bad things? I acknowledge that too. Are we overrun and in imminent danger thereof? I don't think so. In fact, I defy you, and I told him this, to even tell me when you've ever even seen a person of MS-13, and if so, what kinds of tattoos did they have, and what specifically were they doing to you to make your life miserable, or perhaps anyone you know.
Right.
Couldn't do it.
If there was
So
a
what's the reality there? If the reality is something we've seen on the TV, that's not reality.
if you were to ask him, if you found out this thing you call a reality is not true, would that have any effect on your willingness to watch Fox News or?
Oh, I do watch Fox News.
No, you're asking them, like.
Okay. Well, see, I think it's wise to know what everybody's saying.
Sure.
I should warn you, I have a background in medical. What is it there? Something got his attention.
Oh, this whole table wobbles.
No, I don't think it was that.
Oh.
But whatever. Maybe it was the duck.
They're adjusting the table over there.
Oh, okay. That's what he's hearing. If I haven't lost my thread, I'd get lost my thread.
I might-
The hypothetical of if you asked your family member if he found out that it was not true that MS-13 has a big effect on people, what would that mean for them?
I haven't asked. That's a good question, because if you were a logical person, you would say, well, I would have to consider the source of the information that I'm getting and make a value judgment about the reality of that. I haven't thought of asking the question that way. I'm going to use that next time.
These are kinds of the questions we like to ask.
It's a good question.
Because it's like an open-ended question. It's also not a question that's necessarily, making a claim on your own too.
Yes,
And
exactly.
we like to ask questions that help people critically reflect on the quality of the reasons that they use to be confident in things. And
Yeah. It's interesting that having upfront statements of your beliefs and philosophies when you encounter these things is never a good idea, because the very thought, if I start the conversation with somebody like that saying, well, I watch TV and I listen to the radio and podcasts, and just 90% of the stuff you hear, you can't believe in, especially Fox News. Well, if I start the conversation that way, you don't even know what the person is thinking yet. You've already lost him. Does that make any sense? And so what you've suggested in asking things in a less confrontational way certainly is viable. And certainly when you initialize a conversation with people that you do know, it's best to avoid any potentially provocative statements like, well, I don't believe in Fox News. That's just, you've already lost by making that kind of judgment. And so if your objective is to get people to reflect, you guys did a good job of that. You didn't bring up any philosophies, politics, religion, or anything like that. So I thought, well, maybe this is safe until it's not,
We fooled another one.
But do I slip up on that kind of thing as a human being all the time?
Yeah.
Yes. And what rule does that violate? It violates the golden rule, because you're putting people on edge, and you don't want to be put on edge.
Sometimes I
would
do.
like to be put on edge.
I sometimes do.
If
It depends.
Then you know how to get there.
I'll tell you this.
if
right
I want
now,
to be less wrong,
Yeah.
wrong about something.
That's kind of where I was going. I was going to say, right now, guarantee you, I'm holding an inaccurate belief that I think is accurate. And I'm unaware of that. Somehow.
Explain that to me.
Right now, I guarantee you, somewhere in my brain,
Right.
is a thing I think is a fact, but is false instead. But I think it's true.
Emotionally, you think it's a fact. Gotcha.
Well, I just believe it. I
Yeah.
believe this thing. I'm holding it, whatever it
Right.
is. There's
But
something.
you know for a fact that
I don't know
it's
what
false.
it is, because if I knew what it is, I would discard it. But until I have a meaningful, like, safe was a good word, kind of like careful conversation with somebody that helps me to see that or helps me to reflect on that, then I'd happily discard it, and then I wouldn't need a.
Yeah,
hold on to
I
it
think you
anymore.
may be in the minority.
Do you think that if
thinking
you were to ask your political adversary friend of yours / family member about that, would they hold true to that sort of mentality as well?
Well, I don't think he's had the kind of philosophical training that I've had.
What,
I was going
have
to.
you asked him?
I have not, because, well, I know exactly what his education is, and well, see, maybe I know too much.
I encourage you to ask him. And
Well,
maybe
no,
we'll
what
do
I
this
mean
maybe
is
in
I know
one of
so
these.
much
Yeah, sure.
that
I've
I
got
know
plenty.
so much
Cool.
that I'm prejudiced, is what I'm
Right.
trying to say in a better way.
Well, we'll let you have a final word, but otherwise, I think maybe wrapping this up so we can interview that gentleman over there. But I wanted to.
I want to give you a little insight into
Sure.
the.
You can take those with you.
Yeah,
That might be a fun exercise to do with them.
I will do that. I'm a
Sorry, I
trained
took
auditor.
yours.
That's fine. I have plenty.
Yeah.
I can make more.
I'm a trained auditor in medical devices, pharmaceuticals, ISO 9001, and that, among other things, was a big part of my career, examining what people were doing. Some work I did for the government. Nobody likes you when you're an auditor, I can
Oh,
assure
yeah,
you.
no,
And
I
I
know.
don't mean financial. I'm
My
talking
dad
about-
worked for the IRS for a while, and somebody randomly selected a car in the parking lot and lit it on fire, and it was my dad's car.
Yeah, well, well,
Welcome
my
to
area
America.
wasn't in accounting or finances.
It was like
but-
his first job out of college, too.
but in medical device law and medicine in general.
Yep.
I also have extensive training as a computer programmer. I used to own a software company.
That's cool.
If you're going to be a programmer, you have to reduce things to their elements and put them in some order of logic.
Mhm.
And all the time you're asserting something as being true or false and then taking actions on that. And these can be multiple layers deep. And that's 90% of programming right there.
Hmm.
And if you take that seriously, it leads to thinking like mine. That most things are relative. There are no absolutes. Can I be sure that there's not a God? No, you can't call me an atheist. You can only call me an agnostic. I don't think there is, but, you know, I could be wrong.
I ascribe as an agnostic atheist, so
Yeah. No, then you know exactly what I'm
try not to label myself too much, especially because I don't think anyone knows what that means or holds
Yeah.
the same idea of what that means. So I usually just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I thank you for stopping me, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't have stopped on my own. And
Thanks for
Good,
stopping.
yeah.
and this was
Appreciate it. Yeah, it was lightning.
an unexpected conversation in the park, and a good one. And
Awesome.
if
Glad you
you,
enjoyed
if
it.
you can get people talking to each other,
Yeah.
please do.